there's lots of themes in there, but in amongst there, short-termism is something that I've been fascinated by and worried about for 10, 15 years. And it plays out in lots of areas. How in New Zealand is short-termism impacting us, do you think? What are the outcomes of short-termism for us?
Well, I think New Zealand's has a cultural history of being short-termist. I mean, we've had the she'll be right attitude. We'll find a solution to anything. We don't need to plan too far into the future. We then compound that with a 3-year political cycle, which from those of us who, without being political, have observed the political process, have seen that doesn't allow our civil service to invest a lot in the long-term thinking. So outside perhaps the strategic review done by Defence and perhaps one or two other things like the Infrastructure Commission, which is just being set up, and the Climate Change Commission, there's not any deep long-term thinking going on. And they acknowledge that, the civil service acknowledges that, and the 3-year political cycle makes it difficult for them. And that's one of the reasons we set up the think tank, KOI2, the Centre for Informed Futures, which is trying to stay out of the immediacy of concurrent, what you might call short-term political issues, and reflect on those 3 or 4 big issues which societies need to be planning for: sustainability, societal resilience, managing the technological transformations that are ahead of us. And if those can be parsed out into lots of different components. I mean, sustainability has many dimensions. It's not just environmental, it's economic, it's got many, it's social, it's cultural, it's got many components to it. But if you think about it, those are all issues which cannot be dealt with a magic bullet. They cannot be dealt with in isolation from each other. They're all interconnected. And they need 10, 20-year horizons, not 3-year horizons, which in reality is the longest horizon in which policy making is really made in New Zealand. There are some exceptions, but in general, that's where it goes. And it's hard because people have time preferences that are relatively short. They're looking at what they get for benefit today rather than what they is for benefit in 30 or 40 years' time. And so there's some really difficult issues here of the public policy framing, the institutions of public policy, the institutions of political policy. And New Zealand has not had a depth of other institutions that focus on the long term. Our universities have some good thinkers, but the amount of university public policy interaction is low compared to other countries. We don't have a large number of think tanks covering a diversity of spectrums of worldviews, which need to be brought together. We're just not well set up for it. And there's been, in setting up this new centre, KOI2, we've been overwhelmed with interest from a lot of people, including the policy community, who understand that an apolitical, non-partisan look at some of these big issues that are confronting us is critical. And it's not the role of people like myself to say this is what we must do. I think the role of people like myself is to say these are the issues, these are the things we need to be thinking about, these are the possible pathways, and what are the goals we need to set for ourselves into the future. And we've got to be serious. I mean, look at the Sustainable Development Goals, written in 2015. They were meant to be something that was some holistic view of what the world wanted to achieve over 15 years. New Zealand's been strangely silent about using those goals within our own environment. And the world as a whole is not meeting them. We don't even have a public discussion really in New Zealand about those issues. We quickly get into the immediacies of some very short-term thinking. And 3-year political cycles drive that.